What up, YouTube? Timbers here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10 and 20 this week. All right, the films turning 10. We got a couple of couple of new takes on classic A's films. So first up, turning 10, we got the prequel to John Carpenter's classic, The Thing. Now, of course, Halloween Kills is not pretty much the only film that got released in the month of October that's pretty much based on a Carpenter classic. Years ago, we had the Thing prequel, which of course is pretty much about like this Norwegian researchers developer discovered this alien ship buried in the ice, and so you got Kate Lloyd played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who pretty much joins the team at the isolated Arctic outpost to investigate. And there is of course there is like a creature that's pretty much attached itself to other folks that you can't tell who's the thing. Of course, this is like a new this was a bit of a prequel on the classic John Carpenter The Thing, which by the way was a remake too. So yeah, but anyway, now the prequel to the Thing, which was as good as the classic John Carpenter and a Kurt Russell film, I actually didn't mind it so much. I know it was pretty cool. It definitely lived up to the original. It's shame that they didn't really do much with it. I always thought they could have done some sort of sequel. Maybe bringing John Carpenter down the line for a new thing. But it has been talked that there is a new thing, like a new film adaptation of The Thing possibly in the works. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. But I didn't mind The Thing prequel so much. Was it as good as the iconic John Carpenter version? Maybe not, but I still had some really fun time with it. You also had some really intriguing cast members as well. Like, of course, you had Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's pretty much one of my favorite scream queens, by the way. You also had even had Eric Christian Olsen. You had Joe Egerton was in this. You had some really decent supporting players, but man, this movie is actually pretty fun, pretty bloody. If you haven't seen it, I'd say give it a go. You might either enjoy it or you might not enjoy it. All right, another remake, if you will, of an 80s classic. We got the remake of Footloose. Now, of course, it stars Kenny Wormwood, Julianne Hough, Miles Teller, Dennis Quaid. Of course, you got teenager Ren McCormack, played by Kenny Wormwood, who pretty much gets a dose of shock when he moves into the small town. And of course, it also turns out that dancing has been banned by pretty much by the councilman, played by Dennis Quaid. And of course, he has a falling for the councilman's door, played by Julianne Hough. You know what? This movie, I would say this right now, the Footloose remake, while obviously nothing beats the iconic Kevin Bacon one. You can't really replace Kevin Bacon. You cannot replace the iconic Kenny Loggins song Footloose. Now, this is also directed by Craig Buer, who also gave us other movies such as Hustle and Flow. He gave us, he of course recently gave us Dolomite Is My Name, the recent Coming to America sequel. I would say this right now. This, when they first announced a Footloose remake, I'm like, really? Come on. I'm all cool with remakes because if it sucks, who cares? Still got the original. But there's just something about a Footloose remake that I felt a little to be odd because, you can't really top the Kevin Bacon one. You can't really top, John Lithgow's performance or even Chris Penn's performance. But this Footloose remake came out. I remember watching this movie in theaters when it got released. I know it was actually much better than I had intention to make. This movie could easily have been terrible. It could have been one of the worst remakes of all time, but it came out and it, there's actually even people, I'm not even the only one. There's all actually literally people who really didn't mind this Footloose remake. Let me pull it. The Footloose remake, believe it or not, has a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm not the only one who appreciated this film. Like I said, the kid who plays played the lead, obviously he's no Kevin Bacon. I love Dennis Quaid, but he did not live up to John Lithgow's performance. But I still found this movie did its own thing. The dancing was pretty cool. The choreography was pretty decent. It was not so bad as I thought it would have been. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen the remake, I'm not sure we can find nowadays. You can find on Prime Video, on Vudu. Sadly, the movie just came and went. It actually made about 63.5 mil. Pretty okay, I guess. But yeah, the remake wasn't so bad in my opinion. But anyway, let me lead you guys. Oh wait. What am I doing? That's not the only film I'll turning 10. All right. Now turning another film that turns 10 years old this week is probably a little underrated comedy that pretty much no one really saw, and that is the 2011 comedy The Big Year. Almost said The Big Sick. You should check that out too, but I'm not talking about The Big Sick. That movie came out like a couple years after. But anywho, now this is actually pretty much like a bird watching film that stars the likes of Steve Martin, Jack Black, Owen Wilson, and The Big Sick pretty much is about these three guys who actually entered like this bird watching competition, and it's actually a very underrated comedy. The film premiered pretty much all the way back in 2011, and just came and went. It was really so cool seeing the chemistry between the likes of Steve Martin, Jack Black, Owen Wilson. Those three. It's a shame they haven't really done another movie together since. I mean, those three really play off each other well. This film is also, by the way, directed by David Franco, who also gave us Mulholland. So I thought he did such a great job directing this. Now, The Big Sick is actually on Disney Plus, so if you guys haven't seen it, give it a go. It's a really fun, little charming film. Anyway, now the film actually had a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, which actually some critics like, some people didn't. But anyway, now besides Wilson, Martin, and Black, the other cast includes likes of Diane Weiss. You also had Rosamund Pike, the late Brian Dennehy, Angelica Houston, Tim Blake Nelson, Parsons was even in this. Joe Beth Williams, Kevin Pollak, Anthony Anderson. You even had a cameo by Al Roker. I mean, the list goes on and on. It was a really cool cast. I mean, I thought it was really funny. It was entertaining. Great performances by the three. If you have not really seen The Big Sick, like I said, it's on Disney Plus. Go watch it. It's a really funny little comedy. All right. Turning 20. Not really much that is really holds up. But Turning 20 is probably one of my favorite David Lynch movies, by the way. And that is a classic 2001 film, Mulholland Drive. Now, this stars Laura Herring and Naomi Watts. And in it, Laura Herring stars as this dark-haired woman who is left with amnesia after a car accident, and she wanders the street of L.A. There, she the Avengers seeking fame as an actress, and together the two also attempt the mystery of Ria's true identity. And the story is pretty set in this dreamlike L.A. And I thought Mulholland Drive is to be honest, it's probably my favorite David Lynch movie. I mean, did I say David Fincher? I meant David Lynch. My bad. Of course, David Lynch has directed loads of great movies. Of course, he directed the original Dune, which the remake comes out next week. He of course gave us Twin Peaks. I mean, David Lynch is one heck of a filmmaker, and I gotta say, I thought he did such a great job with this movie. This is definitely one of my favorite films of his. Naomi Watts was so great in this film. Laura Herring, who doesn't really do a whole lot. Like, sounds like she hasn't really had the same career as Naomi Watts has. You also had some other intriguing cast members like Justin Theroux, Robert Forster was in this. You also had, who else was in this? You also had you even had Billy Ray Cyrus, who I always keep forgetting is in this movie. Ann Miller, Michael J. Anderson. I mean, this movie is so good. There is a nice love scene between the two. Come on. But that aside, this is a really decent movie. This movie will leave you guessing from beginning to end. This is a very confusing film, but it is a really decent David Lynch directed movie. So if you have not really seen Mulholland Drive, go watch it. It's a really dream flick. All right, now other 20-year films don't really stand out to me as much as Mulholland Drive does. We got Bandits, which is the Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton film where they have escaped prison, and the fugitive rob banks in order to finance their scheme for a new and somewhat legitimate life south of the border. And they end up meeting Kate Wheeler, played by Kate Blanchett, who runs into Terry with her car, and so she joins the bandits across the cross-country spree. It was an okay film. I mean, the chemistry between both Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton were both pretty decent. This is maybe one of Bruce Willis's better modern films now. Of course, you also had January Jones was in this, Troy Garrity. You had some really decent supporting players. You even had some Bruce Willis's kids was even in this as well, so there's that. Uh, so yeah, this movie definitely has a really decent, action in it. The chemistry between both Bruce Willis and Bill Bob Thornton was pretty decent. It was pretty much like a Armageddon reunion because they were actually both in Armageddon together, so that was pretty cool to watch. But anyway, it's not a bad little film. It was also directed by Barry Levinson, same guy who gave us The Addams Family and Man in Black. So, yeah, if you haven't really watched Bandits, you can actually find it on, you can find it on HBO Max. Really decent little film if you guys haven't seen it. Okay. Last but not least, also turning 20, we got Corky Romano. I love a good comedy. I even like some unpopular comedies. But there are comedies I do not appreciate at all. And Corky Romano is literally one of them. Corky Romano premiered all the way back in 2001, directed by Rob Perez, who I don't even think he has done another movie since. Starring Chris Kattan, Chris Penn, speaking of Footloose, by the way, Fred Ward, Peter Berg, Vince Pastore, Richard Roundtree, Dave Sheridan. You even had Peter Falk, A.K. Columbo, by the way. How the heck did they drag poor Columbo in this? Is beyond me. Now, if you guys don't really know much about the story, it stars Chris Kattan, who, of course, was best known for SNL fame. I can't remember if this was like before or after he left SNL. I gotta double check that. But anyway, here you got Corky Romano, who receives this surprising call from his long-lost father and pop, played by Columbo himself, Peter Falk. And so, like, in this underworld crime lord who has, like, been pretty much indicted by a grand jury, Corky must also now get into the FBI and look for, like, proof against his father. So, yeah, if you want to have someone to infiltrate a mob thing or try to save his dad and try to become an action hero, let's see. You get Mango from SNL. All right, Chris Kattan, by the way, this dude was always funny on SNL. Let me post some of his fun SNL stuff. Chris Kattan SNL characters. I mean, who remember him as the role Mango? Remember when he like those SNL stuff where he actually literally ate like apple pie from Julian Margulies' mouth? I mean, who remembers that skit? And of course, Christian Kattan had some really cool film roles, most notably Night at the Roxbury with former SNL collaborator Will Ferrell. I love Chris Kattan. I always found him to be so funny on SNL. But then he tried to get into some more film work, and he tried to do Corky Romano, and this movie it's horrible. It's god awful. This movie is one of the worst comedies I've ever seen. I mean, what did they do? What did poor Columbo do to get dragged into this is beyond me. But this movie is just so bad. Let me tell you what the Rotten Tomatoes score was like. I'm not the only one who didn't like this movie, too, by the way. Let's see. Corky Romano, Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it has a 7%. Yuck. I mean, yeah. It's a shame that Chris Kattan hasn't really had much of a film career since. I mean, he doesn't hardly do anything anymore. I don't know if he retired or anything like that. I mean, the last time I actually saw him was when he was on Dance with the Stars, but that was really it. Chris Kattan really doesn't do anything anymore. It's a shame too. I would love to see him come back on SNL one of these days. That would be fun. I always loved him when he popped up on SNL. He was always so funny as the role of Mango. He plays another really cool character on SNL. But yeah, his film career just has not really other than Night at the Roxbury. What other movies has this guy's been in? Chris Kattan movies. Yeah, other than Night at the Roxbury, he was also in House of Haunted Hill. He was in Hotel Transylvania, but still, other than Night at the Roxbury, he has not really had that much of a film credit. So, pretty disappointed to hear, But anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me leave you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? The 10-year one, I'm probably, even though the Ding prequel was pretty good, I'm actually going to say the Footloose remake. That movie actually stands out to me the most in the 10-year one. The 20-year one, obviously, is David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. That movie is so good if you guys haven't seen that. But anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This is Tim signing off.